I'm A.B. Scott, and welcome to Storytime with A.B. Scott. I want to take a second and say thank you to all the good comments and all the views. I appreciate your time. Uh, thank you for spending that time with me. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, I would like to take this episode to discuss the difference between cleaning up and changing. Because when I started this process 3 or so years ago, really labored under the delusion that my life would miraculously get better if I just stopped drinking. I thought that would be, I thought I could actually just stop drinking, and I did for 6, 7 months or so. But relapses are going to happen because I would really kind of put myself in the same pattern as I was before. So, once again, when I was in the ER for the numerous time, realized I had to change and not just clean up. And one of the biggest changes I made was in my boundaries. And once again, I'm going to bring Brene Brown and quote her. And what she says, people learn how to treat us based on how they see us treating ourselves. If I don't put value on my work or my time, neither will the person I'm helping. Boundaries are a function of self-respect and self-care. Well, self-love, excuse me. And also her definition of integrity, it's choosing courage over comfort, practicing our values rather than simply professing them. And when I started, I kind of wanted to come back to square zero. Kind of figure out what was working and what wasn't working, because my life wasn't working at all in any aspect at that time. And that leads me into another story. This is about Abraham Wald and the Statistical Research Group, which during World War II, this was a group of the greatest mathematicians, statisticians, economists in Manhattan. So it was, another Manhattan Project, but it was blocks away from Columbia University. In many ways, these gentlemen and their geeky and mathematical ways aided us in winning World War II. Well, Abraham Wald was a pure mathematician. He really just liked math. And during World War II, the group was approached by the Air Force in Air Force attempts to armor their planes. They had gone over every plane that had made it back, tallied the number of bullet holes in the fuselage and the wings, cockpit, engine, and all that in attempts to find ways to armor them, because they wanted to armor the plane, but armor's heavy, and so it's out of the question to armor the entire plane, but to find the most areas, the most beneficial. So Air Force presented especially Abraham with the statistics, and he said, "We'll come back in a week, give you some time." And he said, "Give me a second." Did some calculations, and he said to armor where the bullet holes weren't, because the planes that made it back are the ones that made it back. But in that number aren't included the numbers of planes that didn't make it back. The ones, the planes that made it back had fewer bullet holes in the engine. So he said to armor the engine. So when I heard that, that was a profound statement, meaning, so, well, look at where you haven't looked before. The dark figure in, I guess, social science research terms, always question your assumptions. So when I decided to redefine my boundaries, I redefined everything. My relationships, my money, my work, my relationship to work, and most importantly, my time. I used to waste a lot of time thinking negative thoughts and thinking, basically about wrongs. I basically was a idiot man-child in a lot of ways. And you mix that with depression, and it just becomes a toxic cycle. Becomes a downward spiral. So, redefining boundaries became my, tool to break that cycle. Boundaries. Function of self-care, self-respect. Yeah, I was really bad at caring for myself for a long time. And part of that was because I didn't structure my life. And that's what I mean by a boundary of time. Because I would always not have time to do anything and just wind up doing nothing. Or overbooking myself and panicking about that and going on a bender and hurting everyone I knew. So I say boundaries became extremely important to me. And particularly time, because time is the most finite of resources. I certainly believe that I'm not getting a second chance. So I had to use my time wisely. That, and upon reviewing my life in the more successful parts, I realized at that time they were structured. So started a morning routine, and now, and that includes saving money, doing a morning mantra, journaling, and having coffee with my mom and stepfather. And I get all that done in probably about an hour. Then I run errands. Then I go to work. Well, I go to my job. My real work is taking care of myself and taking care of those who are important to me. And that was a boundary that got really messed up for a long time. And that led, to my overspending, overconsumption, and just all related. And once I started setting boundaries in certain parts of my life, I started setting boundaries in other parts of my life. And the ball just kept rolling and keeps rolling, starts snowballing. And now I'm a tyrant with my time. Because the key to life and the whole process of is showing up for yourself by showing up for yourself, you wind up being able to show up for others. So, I'm extremely selfish with my time and what I choose to do with it. And that has really made the difference. Kind of want to end with two quotes. One is from, I'm going to butcher this name, Jerry Gorkick. And it's hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. Made a lot of hard choices and hard decisions with myself and those around me. And as I've made tougher and tougher choices, my life is easier. I do far more now in a far better way than I ever did before. And that comes from making hard choices. The last quote is once again from Marcus Aurelius. And it's, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. That's my goal. My goal is finding how to live my life properly. Still make my mistakes, but really making mistakes are a function of work. And it's not trying, it's just, you try by doing. You be by becoming. You become by being. So please, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I can't thank you enough for sharing this time with me. Always, pinky up and enjoy a nice warm beverage. I may be Scott. Thank you.